Thank you very much for the introduction. Good morning to everybody. Guten Morgen. I'd like to thank Dr. Rod and the SCCR for inviting me here today. I'm very pleased to be here. Hopefully I'll keep you entertained for the next 20 minutes. I think Kerry-Ann has already set the scene. Great presentation. I think you woke them up now. So hopefully I'll be able to pick up where she's left it. And I'm going to tell you a bit about hydrogen and the role of hydrogen in local energy systems. And in that context, I'll tell you about a project that we are developing in Scotland, in Orkney Islands, and this is a demonstration. So hopefully I'd like to give you an overview of how all this technologies and all the research that is happening, not just in this center, but across Europe. I know you're doing a lot of research on materials, on batteries, on energy storage, on hydrogen production as well. So hopefully I'll give you an overview of where some of this research is being applied. And this is an example of it. So I'll give you an introduction to System Consulting. It's the consulting business that I run, and then I'll tell you a bit about, just to put the project into context, a bit about hydrogen in the role of hydrogen in the energy transition and what's the policy background as well for this project. And then I'll move on to the Big Heat project. Like I said, it's a demonstration. And what we're trying to demonstrate in Orkney is a fully integrated local energy system based on hydrogen. So the project includes demonstration of hydrogen across the whole value chain, from supply of green hydrogen from renewables, transport and distribution, and local end use in Orkney for heat, power, and transportation. And then finally, what are we planning to do next and what lessons we've learned so far. So just a bit about System. Basically what we trying to do, or my aim would be to support the energy transition because it's necessary as a matter of principle, really. And how do we do that? Well, I am an engineer, I'm an engineering consultant, so I focus on the technology side. Other people focus on other areas, and we all team up because it's all the pieces of the puzzle need to be put together. But I will tell you today a bit about technology. So we try to take technologies and try to take the research, some of the research that you do and other organizations, and turn it into commercial products. And this is very necessary, particularly in Europe. Historically, we haven't been that good at putting research into the market. I think it's improving now, but I think we still need need a bit of a push on that. So how do we do that? Through projects, basically. So what I do is I work with industry and public organizations, SMEs, also research organizations, to develop projects, to demonstrate technologies, to transition technologies into the market. So I give technical input, we design project concepts, we design the project structure, also try to secure the funding, so we get involved in investment proposals for public and private funding, and we do the technical due diligence, also project evaluation and so forth, and then we get involved during the project delivery as well. Like on the Big Heat project, we're coordinating, I'm the technical coordinator of that project. So this is all very, very important, very meaningful from the technology point of view, but the more I work into this, the more I realize that there's a lot of angles to that to make this transition to the market successful. And many of them have nothing to do with the technology. For example, the policy background. So we're getting more involved now, trying to integrate the policy background into these demonstration projects. Local policy, regional policy, and national policy. And this is to increase the impact of the project and the lifetime of the project as well. So we get involved in that mainly during the proposal preparation and project design. In terms of technologies, these are some of the technologies that we work on. So a lot of work on hydrogen. There's a lot of momentum, a lot of hype. Again, let's hope we can make the most of that, because we've seen a few hypes in this industry already. But this now, having been in this for like nearly 20 years as well, it feels a bit different now. Because for different reasons. I think the conscience is different, the social consciousness is different to what it was 20 years ago. I think people are more aware that something needs to change, that we need to change the energy system, basically. And this could be enabling technologies, and also the policy is different, and also the industry is different, and the big players are coming into this sector now. So a lot of work on hydrogen, but also other clean, flexible, what we call flexible energy vectors, like electricity as well, and biogas, and I think it's all part of the puzzle. I don't think hydrogen is a panacea for everything, in my personal view. I think it's part of the solution. But there are other technologies that need to be deployed and implemented as well. So we work on those as well, a lot of work on energy storage technologies, and then also the integration of low carbon transport with renewable supplies. These are some of the clients, some of the partners that we've been working with recently. So, like I say, industry or public organizations. For the European Commission, I work as an evaluator. So I've been supporting innovation programs for 7-8 years now as an evaluator, and design and giving technical support to design funding programs as well. So moving on to the project, I'd like to give you a bit of background about the policy context and why this project is happening and what's the rationale behind it, particularly in Scotland, which is where the project is being deployed. So in the context of the energy transition, the energy transition is happening across Europe and worldwide. As we know, it's not really a question of if anymore, it's just a question of when, really, and how fast we'll get there. So in Scotland in particular, there's been a lot of progress in decarbonizing the electricity sector. So to the point, I don't think it's as good as it is here in terms of carbon footprint, but getting there. Last year, to give you a figure, 70% of the electricity demand in Scotland was renewable, mainly onshore wind, but now moving on to offshore and marine wind and tidal, because Scotland's got phenomenal renewable resource accessible in the North Sea mainly. So a lot of work on the electricity sector, but if we have a look at that graph there, that represents the end-use energy demand in Scotland, and it's pretty similar, it's pretty similar across most Northern European countries. The proportions may vary a bit, but not a lot. So we've done very well here, but we still have 3/4 of the energy demand that go on heat and transportation, and industry is embedded there. So that is the challenge that we have, particularly heat. These are difficult sectors to decarbonize. This is not straightforward. So what can we do? I think for that, that's when we need to start looking at energy vectors. We need to start looking at hydrogen, electricity as an energy vector as well, biogas as well, and we need to look at the integration, what Kerry-Ann was saying, the whole systems picture. There's no way that we will be able to achieve decarbonization of the whole energy system without integration. It's just physically impossible. So this is the context of this project. This is why this project, the motivation to develop something like this. So moving on to the project now, 12 partners from across Europe. We are the technical coordinators, and we also working with the local authority in Orkney Islands, Orkney Island Council, community organizations, technology providers as well, of course, and also research and academia partners, the Technical University of Denmark, DTU, and the Hydrogen Aragon Foundation provide the research base for this project. The project is co-funded by the European Commission through the Fuel Cell Hydrogen Joint Undertaking, and also co-funded by the Scottish Government. So what's the rationale? Just for those of you who don't know where Orkney Island are, so 20 inhabited islands off the northern coast of Scotland, population about just over 21,000 people, and the main characteristic and the reason why we have deployed that project there is because of the incredible renewable resource that Orkney has. Due to the geographical location, is at the intersection between the North Sea and the Northern Atlantic, and that creates very characteristic climate and resource conditions. So phenomenal wind resources, very, very windy there, so all the time. Capacity factors, I believe their average is 45 to 50%. So that's what they deal with. I haven't been there a single day, and I think I've been there more than 20 times now where it wasn't windy. Very windy. And then this phenomenal wave and tidal resource, this is coming behind now, but it's being deployed as well, mainly through the European Marine Energy Center, EMEC, who's doing a fantastic job in Orkney, and they're one of the partners of this project as well. So that creates very good conditions, but also challenges. Because of the location, it's quite reasonably remote, as you can see. There's only one interconnector with the UK mainland, 30 megawatts at the moment. And that means that the grid is congested. In fact, Orkney produces more electricity from renewables than it can consume on a yearly basis. So the electricity system is completely decarbonized there already, and the problem is curtailment. On average, they curtail more than 30% on the renewable resource. 30%. Now that's a significant economic penalty for the local community. For a community of 20,000 people, just to give you a figure, it is estimated that they lose in revenues because of curtailment more than £1 million, more than €1 million per year. So there's a lot to do with that, and that's where we think hydrogen can play a role there. So this is a magnificent place for a demonstration on hydrogen. It doesn't get much better than this at the moment, as it is. Because if they've got the right conditions, they've got the right economic conditions, and they've got also full support from the community and the local government. So this is what we're trying to demonstrate here in Orkney, the use of hydrogen as an energy vector to decarbonize and to transition their local economy to a low carbon economy. So just a schematic of the project. This is what we're actually doing in Orkney. So we're producing hydrogen on these 2 islands here. These are very small islands, so I think the population here is about 150 people, and here 250 people. Small communities. So we're producing hydrogen here through electrolysis from wind and tidal on this island, and from wind on this one. Some of it is consumed in the islands for heating, to heat up 2 community buildings, basically. So there's that schematic that you can see there. That's a combustion hydrogen heating system that we have deployed in a public school there. There's 27, I think 30 children that go there, and they will have the oil fire system supplemented by hydrogen. Of course, we have to leave this is a demonstration, so the hydrogen system acts. The oil system will stay as a backup, if you know what I mean. So, but the system is there and it will be operational soon. And then the rest of hydrogen that is not consumed in the islands, population is small, so there's only so much hydrogen they can use. So we fill up tube trailers, compressed gas hydrogen, and we put the trailers on the ferries, and then we take the ferries to the main city, the main town, Kirkwall. This is bigger, it's about 11,000 people I think live in Kirkwall. And here we're using hydrogen for heat, power and transportation. So we have deployed a hydrogen refueling station here. This is operational. That can refuel up to 10 vehicles. Then, this is very interesting. This is a CHP fuel cell based system that is providing auxiliary heat and power at the harbor. So when the ferries are docked overnight, they can switch off the engines, and we provide the auxiliary electricity that they need through the fuel cell with hydrogen produced here and here. So a lot of technologies there, but the main focus of this project is not on the technologies per se, it's on the integration of all of them and making all this work as a system. Supply, distribution, and local end use. So a lot of impacts, a lot of benefits for the community. This is a pioneer project. Going back to the argument that Kerry-Ann was saying, with this project, we're taking the sector to the edge. This is clear to me. It wasn't that clear when I started with this project 3 years ago. Now it's very, very clear to me that this is at the edge of what the sector is capable of delivering successfully. So we need to be mindful of that and the complexity of this. also a lot of benefits. Of course, we're learning a lot with these projects, and this is why these are stepping stones. So these projects are necessary. We need to learn, and we also learn from things that don't work. In fact, we learn more when things don't work than when they work. Because we force, as engineers and scientists and everybody, to use our brains and come up with solutions. So a lot of challenges there, a lot of benefits for the community, not just to decarbonize from an environmental point of view, but the community is very interested, and the local authority, on the socio-economic benefits of this project. Local jobs, socio-economic benefits like skills development, development of tourism, things like that, because the project is attracting quite a lot of attention. This is a flagship project. There's no other system at the moment in Europe operational like this. So that's why we think the project is quite unique, and it's got a lot of benefits apart from what I've mentioned, being able to decarbonize and use more renewable resources and so forth. I'm going to speed up a little bit now. So this is the project financing. Initially, just under 11 million euros. We've added more co-funding to provide contingency. So at the moment, the budget is about just over 13 million euros. The project is a community project, but at the moment the ownership is shared with the partners, with the industry partners and technology providers. But the discussions are ongoing, and the plan is to transfer the ownership to the community in Orni. And just to give you an idea of where we are at the moment, this is a 5-year demonstration. So we're coming onto the deployment phase now. There's 3 sites operational out of 6, those 6 that you have seen on the map before. So we already have one of the production sites commissioned and producing hydrogen from wind and tidal in Orni. We've also delivered 5 vehicles, those that you can see in the background. So those are Renault Kangoos provided by a company, one of the project partners called Symbio, and they're equipped with, it's an electric van basically equipped with a fuel cell range extender. And there's 5 of them already operating in Orni, have been refueled with hydrogen, green hydrogen produced in Orni. We've also run all the test trials to be able to transport hydrogen on the ferries. That was not straightforward, so the design of those containers, this is a 20-foot container that's got a cylinder manifold inside basically and carries compressed hydrogen at 200 bar. But the trailer has to be specifically designed to be and certified to be transported on ferries. So there was a lot of work on the regulation as well, IMGG regulations, and also we had to do a lot of work with the road agency for dangerous goods, also with the maritime Coast Guard authority. So it took a year and a half basically for us to be able to put those trailers with hydrogen on the ferries. But now they're up and running, and this is a picture of the harbor. That's the CHP fuel cell that is also running and providing onshore power to the ferries. And then apart from the technologies, like I said, we're trying to put a lot of emphasis on the socio-economic aspects of the project, and also on developing business models and replication methodology so that we can see how we can take it to other locations and territories. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Just quickly, if I can draw your attention to this graph here on the right, that represents the electrolyzer running capacity versus the amount of curtailed electricity that we can access. As you know, wind electricity is variable, so is curtailed electricity. So we put in place a control system so that we know exactly how much curtailed electricity we're accessing. And then on that basis, we're developing 5 scenarios to see how much it will cost to produce hydrogen under those 5 scenarios. So just a quick snapshot. These are modeling results. We haven't validated these results yet. We will do it, but the project is just becoming operational now. So we will validate the results with this experimental data. But at the moment, we think we can produce hydrogen as it is designed at between 5 and 11 euros per kilo. Sounds like a lot, but we haven't done anything to optimize it yet. So we ran calculations again. We've tried to optimize, for example, the sizing of the equipment, of the electrolyzer, amount of curtailed electricity that we will access, which is effectively zero cost. And we believe we can produce hydrogen in Orni. These results will only apply to Orni. It wouldn't apply to other locations. We will run the numbers for other locations, but we think we can produce hydrogen just over 2 euros per kilogram in Orne. So a bit about dissemination. So I wanted to tell you about this. It might be of interest. So I mentioned that one of the objectives of the project is to see how we can replicate this to other locations. So for that, we've designed and we've implemented a dissemination tool that we call Hydrogen Territories Platform. So it serves two functions. It's to disseminate project results, of course. So it's got an online platform that will be alive over the next couple of weeks. And also, we're using that tool to engage people, other stakeholders and territories and locations, and see if they want to do something similar. We can help them. We can get data from them, so we can validate our methodology for replication, and they can help with that. In turn, we can give them, those territories and locations, stakeholders, indications of how they could do something similar to this. And we've done preliminary business models already, and a lot of effort on outreach dissemination. So moving on to the next step. So what next? So this is just one of the projects that have been put together in Orne, and just to give you an idea, there's about more than 40 million euro investment just on hydrogen demonstration in Orne. This is ongoing, just 3 ongoing projects. So this is a platform that is being used to devise other ideas, and these are some of the discussions we have in terms of what to do next. And finally, some lessons learned. We were involved in the project development and also the project delivery phase. I'm not going to go into detail on that, but important not to underestimate the complexity of this from a financial point of view, logistics point of view, and of course technical point of view. And also to take into account the input of the local community. Whatever we do, whatever technology we develop, it will be deployed, and in most of the cases, it will be used by people. And we need to take that into account. And that's the end. Thank you very much for your attention.